What you're about to watch is a special private training session for people who bought a copy of my book, Built to Serve. Enjoy. Celine was asking, what's the best way to get one-on-one clients? So honestly, the best way is through referrals. As much as I'm like a content guy and I love making videos and content, but the best way is through referrals. Like do a kick-ass job with the people who you are doing work with so that one, they want to hire you back, depending on what you're selling, and two, they introduce you to other people. That like this person is so good that they want to tell their friends about you. And being, most people won't give a bad service. Like if somebody asked you, if you ask them how good was my service, they'll probably say, oh yeah, you did great. But is it so good that they want to then, like you're forcing them or guilting them to tell their friends about you? And a lot of times that comes from helping them beyond just the thing that you're helping them with. Like they're coming to you for a reason, cool, but the concept of be their chief goal officer, like what are they actually trying to accomplish, and go help them accomplish that, right? So think about, I just came back from Vegas and I was speaking at an event, and most speakers, pretty much every speaker flies in and flies out, and that's their thing, right? Off to the next thing. My favorite thing is to hang out in the hallway afterwards. So I speak on stage and then speak so much in the hallway that Zane has to pull me aside and say, sorry guys, last question. He has to go to bed. Which is usually Nina's job, but she wasn't there. So Zane became my Nina for the trip. And by the way, Zane, Nina was very grateful that you stepped in and helped with that, because I'll get sick because I'll spend so much time helping people in the hallway. But if you think about it, like what's the goal of what am I being paid to do? Like to come and speak. Cool. But then I'm going to stick around in the hallway and help everybody afterwards, because that's helping the client even so much more, right? And then you get hired to come back. And then you get, if they're thinking about who are they going to recommend to other people to speak, they're going to often pick me because of the extra work that you're putting in. So it's not that you're not doing a good enough job. It's like, well, but they got a result. Cool. But did you help them so much that they feel like almost guilted into trying other ways to help you out? And so referrals is the number one way to grow a one-on-one client business. If you're a service-based business, the fastest way to grow it is through referrals. Now, that doesn't necessarily scale, right? That's not how you build a $10 million company, but it's the fastest way to get going and get started. If we're going to use content, so if you look at Built to Serve, we tend to always focus on the thought leadership and the content, but there's 3 strategies at the back of the book on how to win, right? There's the fast path to freedom, there's partnerships, and then there's thought leadership. And partnerships is basically what we just talked about. It's like referral strategies. For the content, the best way to do it is to do the thing that you're doing live on inside your content. So Zane wants to sell confidence coaching. He should be doing confidence coaching as part of his content calendar. We had somebody in Brandlytics this morning who was doing, she helps actors get into Hollywood, and all the tips. And so one of the video ideas we came up with was her doing critiques of people's audition reels. So to get into a film, you have to do an audition reel and send it in. They never get feedback on whether it was good or bad. They just know if they got the part or not. So have them send the audition reel to her, and she'll make a video on it, breaking it down and critiquing it and saying all the points where it's falling apart. Like, here's why you didn't get hired. I think we're going to call it like why you didn't get the role or something. And she basically breaks down and tells you why you didn't get hired for the job. What's wrong with it? If she wants to sell those services, it's much easier to get clients with that kind of content than with, here are 5 ways to win in Hollywood. Because the fact that you can speak doesn't mean you're going to be a great coach. So what are you trying to sell? And then show me you doing it. Right? But the easiest way would be referrals. So I don't know what you're selling, Salima, or what we're trying to get clients towards, but go in even for free. So Drew and Jeremy are 2 people who I both invested into and trained the YouTube side of things. And they both have mid 6-figure businesses now. Jeremy started a little sooner. Jeremy went from being a stock boy at a grocery store making minimum wage to then now having a mid 6-figure business. And he's like, I don't know if I want to work more than 35 hours a week. He's like, oh my gosh, this guy. He's spoiled now. Jeremy, if you watch replay, you are spoiled. But how we started was, it was a lot of free calls because he wasn't very good at the thing yet. And so we did free calls, free YouTube breakdowns, basically pulling up somebody's channel and do breakdowns. And that led to then some people on the free calls would call him back and say, hey, that was really good. Can I hire you? And that becomes the goal. It's like, you ultimately want to be hired. But are you doing a good enough job on the free to get people to say, wow, I want to hire this person to come back? So it's outreach. Zane had a great point today in Brandlytics where we were pulling up somebody's channel. We didn't know who they were. It's just like using them as an example. He's like, could you reach out to them and tell them to fix their thumbnails and offer that as a service? Like, yep. Like if that was my business or Drew's business, you could reach out and say, hey, here's what's wrong with your channel. Here's what I do. I'd love to help you fix it. And some people might just talk to you for half an hour and take your ideas and run with it. Cool. And some people will say, wow, that's awesome. Can I hire you to do that? Because I don't want to do that myself. And then those people hire you. Then you do a kick-ass job helping them. And then they find more ways to work with you and refer you off to their friends. So that's the easiest way. Service-based business to get your company off the ground is referral-based marketing by doing a kick-ass job for them. The content is the scalable way to build a business. Cool. So let's turn into some questions. Who's got something? How can I help? Put your hand up and let's go through. Lady Lexi, what do you got?
So when you were talking earlier about the whole response videos, I was wondering, because you do a lot of those shorts where your team does on your gaming channel. Mm-hmm. And I would really like to respond to it, get into it. So I noticed that on TikTok, you can do some stuff like a duet or a stitch, but what do you do when it's only on YouTube? So can I post a part of your video like picture in picture? What's the norm?
You need to use something. It's like the easiest is probably Zoom, where you screen share and then have you on as well and just adjust the size of you.
Okay.
Like if I were to go screen share right now, we do it in Movie Makers, right? I mean, you see my PowerPoint and then you see me still talking, and I can adjust the size of me to be whatever. I make it small so you can see the slides. It's not like giant Evan covering everything up, but you can make it that like lady is half the screen and whatever you're reacting to is on the other half. That's probably the easiest way.
And when it comes to title, would I say a response to, or would I create a more catchy title?
I would lead with a more catchy title. Okay. And then afterwards, if it's not working, you can always look to split test it. Okay. So for example, cool. in Brandlytics this morning, we had a guy who was, he's a copywriter for books, for book marketing. And he's already ranking at the top for all of the like book copy marketing keywords, but nobody's searching for it. It's like, is it really small? People aren't looking book marketing copy. So he's ranking for all those, but it's not helping him drive his business forward too much because nobody's searching for those words. So one of the things he does is he does Amazon sales page copy. So when you write a book, you need to have an Amazon page, and there's copy on the Amazon page. And we went together and looked at the 4-hour work week Amazon page, and it sucked. It's got like 2 paragraphs. There's almost nothing on there. So that could be a good video for him of tearing apart the 4-hour work week page and saying why it sucks and how to fix it. So the video, if you're looking at title in that video, it should be something about the 4-hour work week and how much it sucks, as opposed to my response to the 4-hour work week sales page, like something that's going to catch attention so people will want to click on it. Now, it's ideally not just tearing it down, but then giving feedback, right? Like here's how to make it better.
Okay, so I got a little inspired watching all the descriptions on YouTube, and of course,
you got inspired by descriptions on YouTube.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
With how people actually call themselves.
I don't think I've ever heard anybody say that before, ever. I got inspired by YouTube descriptions. Okay, this is great. You know that you're like obsessing over YouTube when you lead a question with, I got inspired by YouTube descriptions.
Oh my God.
You're basically living inside YouTube right now, Lady Lexi. Okay, I love it. I love it. Let's go. What do you got?
Oh, I'm living in Luma Fusion right now. It's a whole different ball game. Anyway, Zen calls himself confidence coach. And I've been looking for a while how to call myself. Okay. Today I was thinking about calling myself, what was it called again? Inclusion influencer. Because it does have the word inclusion in there. And I actually like to see myself as an influencer. That's way easier than coach, therapist, trainer, whatever.
Okay, so you're asking what I think about inclusion influencer? Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's okay. I don't know that I would lean in on influencer. I think it still has a 22-year-old up and coming vibe to it, as opposed to like if you're actually an expert at it.
Mm-hmm.
So like if you're
the inclusion expert, I also saw inclusion creator passing by.
Yeah, expert or advocate or leader, or like just something with a little more, if it were me, something with a little more gravitas to it. If you know gravitas, with a little more stature to it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, than an influencer. I think people will self-identify as influencers, and they might look for, I mean, if you're looking at inclusion influencer, it's something that nobody's looking for. Like nobody's going to YouTube or Google anywhere and typing, I need to find an inclusion influencer, right? Mm-hmm. So now it's a branding play. Like, what do we want to call ourselves? This is not for somebody searching. So like if somebody's trying to find a confidence coach, then they can find Zen, and you kind of get a sense of what it is, right? Like he's a coach who's going to teach me confidence. That's what I assume it is. If I go talk to him and he's trying to sell me dog food or something, it's like, there's something wrong here. So, but what's a inclusion influencer? Like it's not immediately understandable, so it's fine. It doesn't have to be. But if you're going to then pick something that's not immediately understandable, then let's pick something that speaks to the, prestige, I guess, that you're going after. So if you're going to call yourself an inclusion leader or advocate, it just comes off, I think, more powerfully than influencer. If you want to get a copy of Built to Serve and join us live for our next training with me to ask your questions, you can go get the book right there next to me, right there. I'll see you there. I'll see you to get the book. It's a good one. Much love.